The celestial Voyager drifted silently through the void, its sleek silver hull reflecting distant starlight as it moved through uncharted space. Commander Thella Vex stood on the bridge, her six-fingered hands clasped behind her back, iridescent scales on her neck fluttering with anticipation. For 3 cycles, the unified Galactic Alliance's foremost exploration vessel had been mapping the edges of known space, seeking new civilizations worthy of contact. Approaching the anomalous energy signature, Commander, announced Science Officer Krell, his voice betraying the excitement that the entire crew felt. Readings are unusual, unlike anything in our database. Thala's amber eyes narrowed. After 2 centuries of service to the Alliance, she had encountered dozens of new species, witnessed the birth and death of stars. But something about this mission felt different. The energy patterns they had been tracking for the past solar rotation defied conventional physics. "Put it on the main display," she ordered, her dual hearts quickening their pace. The holographic projection at the center of the bridge sparked to life, initially showing only the endless tapestry of stars. Then something moved, a shadow against the cosmic background, growing larger as their sensors focused. "Magnify," Thella breathed, leaning forward. The image sharpened, and a collective gasp swept through the bridge crew. The object was massive, easily 3 times the size of the celestial Voyager. Its hull was midnight black, absorbing rather than reflecting light, with geometric patterns of blue energy pulsing across its surface like veins of lightning. It didn't resemble any known Alliance or Frontier collective design. The vessel's lines were elegant yet somehow threatening, like a predator at rest. "Life signs?" Thella asked, keeping her voice measured despite the tension building in her chest. "Confirmed," replied Krell, his 4 eyes widening as he studied his console. "But the readings are, Commander, they're bipedal warm bloods, but their biological signatures show extensive integration with technology. I've never seen anything like it. Any weapons systems?" Navigation Officer Pell's voice trembled as she responded, "Yes, Commander. But our sensors can't identify the operating principles. The power levels are impossible. Our shields wouldn't stand a chance." Thala felt a chill run down her spine. The celestial Voyager represented the pinnacle of Alliance technology, equipped with quantum shield generators, pulse cannons, and emergency fold space drives. Yet suddenly, she felt as though they were primitives facing something beyond comprehension. "Send the standard greeting package," she ordered. This was protocol. The burst transmission containing peaceful intentions in multiple formats and mathematical constants that should be universally understandable. The response came so quickly that several crew members flinched. The dark ship's energy patterns intensified, forming complex fractal patterns that seemed to dance across its hull. "Commander," Communications Officer Zen said, "we're receiving a transmission. Full spectrum, perfectly calibrated to our systems. They've already deciphered our language matrix." Thala straightened her uniform, a gesture of composure more for her crew than herself. On screen, the holographic display shifted, and Thala found herself face to face with a being both familiar and alien. Bipedal, as Krell had said, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a single head. The creature appeared to be wrapped in a dark uniform that seemed to shift subtly, as though it were composed of millions of microscopic components in constant motion. Its skin was pale, hairless except for the top of its head and face, with eyes that shone with an intelligence that made Thala's scales ripple involuntarily. "Greetings, Commander Thella Vex of the Celestial Voyager." The being spoke, its voice translated perfectly through their systems. "I am Admiral Elena Reyes of the Earth Confederation vessel Thunderchild. We come in peace, though I recommend maintaining a respectful distance from our defense grid." Thala felt her secondary heart skip. They knew her name. They knew their ship designation. Yet the Celestial Voyager's transponder codes were encrypted and frequently changed. And what defense grid? Their sensors had detected no such thing. Admiral Reyes, Thala managed, her training overtaking her shock. We represent the unified Galactic Alliance, a peaceful coalition of 27 sentient species. We welcome contact with your... She stopped mid-sentence as new alerts flashed across the bridge displays. More ships had appeared behind the Thunderchild. 5, then 10, then 20 vessels of varying sizes, materializing without warning. No fold space distortion, no hyperspace window, no quantum wake. They simply appeared, as if they had always been there and had only now chosen to be seen. "I apologize for startling your crew," Admiral Rice said, a slight smile playing across her features. "We've been observing your approach for some time and thought it best to reveal the full escort. This is merely one battle group of the Earth Confederation." Thala struggled to maintain her composure. Her mind reeled with implications. These humans, as they called themselves, hadn't just mastered space travel. They had conquered it, bending the laws of physics that the Alliance still struggled to understand. "Your technology," she found herself saying, diplomatic protocol momentarily forgotten. "It's beyond anything we've encountered." Admiral Rice nodded. "We've been watching the Alliance's development for some time. Your civilization has taken an interesting path, somewhat different from our own. Perhaps we can learn from each other." The casual revelation that they had been under observation sent another ripple of unease through Thala's scales. How long had these humans been watching? How had they remained undetected by the combined sensor networks of 27 advanced species? "We would welcome such an exchange," Thala replied carefully. "Our mission is one of peaceful exploration and diplomacy." "Excellent." Rice smiled. "Then perhaps you would honor us by coming aboard the Thunderchild for a more detailed discussion. We can provide suitable accommodations for your biology, of course." Before Thala could respond, Science Officer Krell interrupted, his voice tight with controlled panic. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy fluctuations from the human vessels. They're generating quantum singularities. Multiple ones. Controlled." Thala's head snapped toward him. "Weapons?" "No," Krell whispered, his 4 eyes blinking in astonishment. "Power sources. Each ship contains what appears to be domesticated micro-black holes. The energy output is incalculable." On the display, Admiral Rice's expression remained patient, almost amused. "Your science officer has impressive insight. Yes, we utilize gravitational singularity cores. Perfectly safe, I assure you. Though I understand your concern, your own scientists theorized such technology, but deemed it impossible to contain. We solved that particular puzzle roughly 3 centuries ago." 3 centuries. The Alliance's oldest member species had achieved faster-than-light travel barely 1 century ago and considered it their crowning achievement. These humans spoke of harnessing black holes with the casual air of discussing simple machinery. "Admiral," Thala said, making a decision, "we would be honored to accept your invitation. Please allow us time to prepare a delegation." After the communication ended, Thala turned to her senior staff. The bridge had fallen silent, each officer processing the implications of what they had just witnessed. "Opinions?" she asked simply. Security Chief Morrow, who had remained silent throughout the exchange, spoke first. His species was known for their tactical wisdom and natural paranoia, traits that had served the Alliance well during the border conflicts. "They could have destroyed us at any moment," he said bluntly. "The fact that they initiated peaceful contact when they clearly hold overwhelming technological superiority suggests either genuine diplomatic intent or what?" Thala pressed. "Or they want something from us that destruction wouldn't provide," Morrow finished. "Information, perhaps. Cultural exchange. Or they're studying us like specimens." Science Officer Krell's hands danced over his console. "Commander, I've been analyzing the sensor data from the human ships. Their hulls appear to be composed of some kind of programmable matter. Billions of nanoscale components that can reconfigure in real time. And the energy signatures. They're manipulating subspace in ways that should tear a ship apart. Instead, they're using these distortions for propulsion, shields, possibly even weapons. Can we defend against such technology? Thula asked, already knowing the answer. No, Krell said simply. Their smallest vessel could likely neutralize our entire fleet without suffering damage. We are obsolete by comparison. Thala took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her responsibility. The Celestial Voyager wasn't just an exploration vessel. It was the technological showcase of the Alliance, the pride of 27 worlds. And in a single encounter, everything they had achieved had been rendered primitive. Prepare the diplomatic shuttle, she ordered finally. I will lead the delegation myself. Science Officer Krell, Security Chief Morrow, you're with me. Communications Officer Zen, prepare a detailed report for the Alliance Council. Encrypt it at the highest level and transmit immediately. As her officers scrambled to obey, Thala turned back to the viewport. The human ships hung in the void like dark predators, their energy patterns pulsing in complex rhythms. Beautiful and terrifying. Commander, Krell approached, his voice low. These humans, do you think they're benevolent? Thala considered the question carefully, watching the graceful dance of power that flickered across the Thunderchild's hull. I don't know, she admitted. But I do know this. The Alliance just became a very small fish in a very large ocean. And we've just met the Love Athens. The diplomatic shuttle departed the Celestial Voyager's docking bay, its engines humming softly as it approached the massive human flagship. As they drew closer, the true scale of the Thunderchild became apparent. It wasn't merely large. It was colossal, dwarfing even the Alliance's capital ships. The hull, Krell whispered, his scientific curiosity momentarily overcoming his apprehension. It's not reflecting our scanning beams. It's absorbing them, analyzing them, and then returning precisely calibrated responses. It's as if the entire ship is a single, unified intelligence. Thala felt a strange mixture of fear and wonder. If this was humanity's greeting party, what did their homeworlds look like? What marvels and terrors had they created in their ascent to mastery over physical law? As the shuttle approached the designated docking area, they received no further communications. Instead, the Thunderchild's hull simply opened, a perfect circular aperture appearing without visible seams or mechanisms. Inside, brilliant blue light beckoned. They're expecting us, Thala said, straightening her formal diplomatic attire. Remember your training. We represent the Alliance now, but more importantly, we represent the future relationship between our peoples. The shuttle glided into the docking bay, if such a conventional term could be applied to the cavernous, eerily beautiful space that engulfed them. There were no visible support structures, no machinery, no technology as they understood it. The walls pulsed with the same blue energy they had observed from outside, forming patterns that seemed almost alive. As the shuttle settled onto the deck, Thala took a final steadying breath. Whatever awaited them would change the course of history for 27 worlds. The age of Alliance supremacy had ended. The era of humanity had begun. The shuttle's hatch opened with a soft hiss, and Commander Thula Vex led her small delegation into the docking bay of the Thunderchild. The moment they stepped onto the deck, Thala felt a subtle shift in the environmental conditions, the temperature, humidity, and atmospheric composition adjusting in real time to perfectly match the preferences recorded in the Celestial Voyager's database. The air, Science Officer Krell murmured, his 4 eyes blinking in succession as his sensory organs analyzed their surroundings. It's been perfectly calibrated to our homeworld's conditions, down to trace elements and particulate ratios. Before Thala could respond, a section of the wall rippled and parted. 3 figures emerged, walking with casual confidence. Admiral Alina Rice led the group, flanked by 2 officers whose uniforms bore different insignia. Up close, the humans were both more familiar and more alien than they had appeared on the view screen. They moved with a fluid grace that belied their solid appearance, and their eyes held a depth of intelligence that made Thala's scales bristle instinctively. Commander Vex, Admiral Rice extended a hand, then smoothly adjusted the gesture to the Alliance's traditional greeting, when she noticed Thala's momentary confusion. "Welcome aboard the Thunderchild. I trust your journey was comfortable." "It was enlightening," Thala responded carefully. "Your vessel defies conventional understanding of material science and energy manipulation." Reyes smiled. "Yes, I suppose it would seem that way. Allow me to introduce Captain Marcus Chen, our Chief Science Officer, and Commander Sophia Williams, our diplomatic liaison." The introductions complete, Reyes gestured toward the opening in the wall. "If you'll follow me, we've prepared a more appropriate setting for our discussions." They walked through corridors that seemed to form just ahead of them and close seamlessly behind, as if the ship were a living organism anticipating their journey. There were no visible control panels, no obvious technology, just smooth among other things. Chen replied with a modest shrug. "Though control isn't quite the right concept. It's more of a partnership." They entered what appeared to be a conference room, though unlike any Thala had seen before. The outer wall was simply absent, offering an unobstructed view of space and the celestial Voyager hanging small and vulnerable against the backdrop of stars. Yet somehow there was no decompression, no force field shimmer, nothing to indicate what was keeping the atmosphere contained. "Please be seated." Reyes gestured to chairs that formed from the floor, adjusting their shapes to accommodate the different physiologies of the Alliance delegation. As they settled, a three-dimensional display materialized in the center of the room. Not a hologram, Thala realized with a start, but actual matter coalescing from energy, forming a perfect representation of the local star system. "I imagine you have questions," Reyes began, her tone conversational. "About our technology, our civilization, our intentions. I'll be as transparent as possible, though some aspects of our development might be difficult to contextualize." Thala found her diplomatic training reasserting itself. "Admiral, while we appreciate your hospitality, I must address the immediate concern. Your fleet appeared without warning in Alliance map space, displaying technology far beyond our understanding. The Council will need assurances regarding your intentions." "Of course," Reyes nodded. "Let me be direct then. Humanity has been aware of the Alliance for approximately 300 years, by your time measurement. We've maintained observation posts throughout your territory, studying your development from a position of non-interference." The revelation sent a chill through Thala's dual hearts. 3 centuries of undetected surveillance, the Alliance's most advanced detection systems, the combined technological achievement of 27 species, had missed centuries of human presence. "That's impossible," Morrow stated flatly. "Our sensor networks operate on principles we mastered a millennium ago," Chen interjected gently. "We've been careful to remain undetected until we deemed your civilization ready for contact." "Ready?" Thala repeated, a flicker of indignation cutting through her shock. "By whose standards?" An understandable reaction. Commander Williams spoke for the first time, her voice carrying a warmth that somehow eased the tension in the room. Perhaps some historical context would help. Humanity's path to the stars was turbulent. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times before achieving unity. When we finally ventured beyond our solar system, we encountered other species who were significantly less advanced than ourselves. Our first instinct was to share everything. Reyes continued, to help other civilizations avoid the mistakes we had made. The results were catastrophic. Her expression darkened. Societies collapse when presented with technologies they weren't culturally or ethically prepared to manage. We learned that technological advancement must be matched by philosophical and societal development. The display in the center of the room shifted, showing a sequence of stunning images. Massive orbital structures encircling stars, planet-sized constructs that defied conventional physics, and vast networks of interconnected systems spanning entire galactic sectors. "This is the Earth Confederation today," Chen explained. 5,000 worlds, 300 sentient species, spanning 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. We've reshaped planets, engineered stars, and explored realities beyond conventional space-time. But each step was taken with careful consideration of the consequences. Thala struggled to process the scale of what she was seeing. The Alliance, with its 27 members and several hundred colonies, had considered itself a significant galactic power. Now, they seemed like a small village at the edge of a vast empire. "If you've been watching us for so long," Krell asked, his scientific curiosity overcoming diplomatic caution, "why reveal yourselves now?" Admiral Rice leaned forward, her expression serious. "Because you're about to make a critical mistake. Your recent quantum fold experiments are destabilizing subspace in ways you don't yet understand. Unchecked, they could trigger a cascading failure that would render this entire sector uninhabitable." The statement hung in the air. The quantum fold drive was the Alliance's most closely guarded technological breakthrough, a revolutionary propulsion system that had only been successfully tested 6 months earlier. "How could you possibly know about?" Morrow began. "The same way we know that your council is divided on expansion policy, that your energy production capabilities are reaching their theoretical limits, and that 3 of your member species are considering secession," Williams replied, not unkindly. "We've been paying attention." Reyes gestured, and the display changed again, showing complex mathematical equations and subspace topology models. "Your quantum fold theory is fundamentally sound, but your implementation is flawed. You're creating microfractures in the fabric of space-time with each activation. Small now, but growing exponentially." Krell studied the equations, his 4 eyes widening as he processed the implications. This is beyond our current mathematical framework. But if it's accurate, it would explain the anomalous readings from our long-range sensors." Thala finished, the pieces falling into place. The unexplained phenomena that had been dismissed as instrument error suddenly made terrible sense. "We can help you correct the design," Chen offered, "along with solutions to several other technological bottlenecks your civilization is facing: energy production, medical technology, computational systems. Not everything. That would be irresponsible, but enough to ensure your continued development without existential risk." Thala felt her head spinning with the implications. In a single day, everything the Alliance thought it knew about its place in the cosmos had been upended. They weren't explorers at the frontier of known space. They were children who had wandered into the domain of gods. "Why would you help us?" she asked finally. "What do you gain from this interaction?" Admiral Rice smiled, and for the first time, Thala saw something genuinely warm and hopeful in the human's expression. "Perspective, Commander. Despite our technological achievements, we remain students of the universe. Your civilization has developed unique approaches to challenges we solved differently. Your art, your philosophy, your social structures, they offer fresh insights. Evolution isn't linear. It's branching and diverse. We have much to learn from you." "And if we decline your assistance?" Morrow asked, ever the security officer. "Then we respect your decision," Williams answered without hesitation. "We'll withdraw our visible presence, though we would maintain observation to ensure the subspace fractures don't threaten nearby systems. We aren't conquerors or colonizers, Chief Morrow. That path was abandoned centuries ago." As if to emphasize the point, the display shifted again, showing the human fleet rearranging itself into a non-threatening formation, moving away from the Alliance vessel. "I'll need to consult with the Council," Thala said finally. "This revelation will require careful consideration." "Of course," Rice nodded. "But before you depart, there's something we'd like to show you," a gesture of good faith. The Admiral stood, and the others followed suit. They walked through another corridor that formed ahead of them, eventually emerging into a vast chamber unlike anything Thala had seen before. It appeared to be a garden, but the plants and structures defied conventional biology and physics: crystal formations that grew like trees, flowing liquid patterns suspended in midair, and creatures that seemed to phase between different states of matter. "This is a dimensional fold space," Chen explained, watching their reactions with evident satisfaction. "A pocket of reality where the conventional laws of physics are locally modified. We use these spaces for research, recreation, and art. Krell approached one of the crystalline structures, his scientific instruments extended. I don't have words for what this is. The atomic structure is reconfiguring itself in response to thought patterns, emotions. Both, Chen confirmed. The environment is partially sentient, responding to the conscious and unconscious desires of those within it. It's a collaborative space, half technology, half art form. As they walked through the impossible garden, Thala felt something she hadn't expected: hope. For all their power, these humans seemed genuinely interested in cooperation rather than dominance. Their technology was centuries beyond the Alliance's understanding, yet they offered knowledge freely, without obvious conditions. "Admiral," she said finally, stopping beside a pool of liquid that flowed upward against gravity, forming complex, ever-changing sculptures in the air. "Why did you choose to reveal yourselves with warships? If your intentions are peaceful, why not approach with scientific or diplomatic vessels?" Rice's expression turned thoughtful. "An insightful question. The answer is twofold. First, we needed to demonstrate our technological capabilities clearly and unmistakably, to establish the nature of our civilization beyond doubt. Second," she paused, "the Thunderchild and its escort aren't merely warships. They're the vanguard of our exploration fleet, designed for first contact scenarios. Their defensive capabilities are necessary because not all species we encounter are peaceful, and not all dangers in the cosmos are sentient." She gestured to the vast expanse of the garden. "This chamber represents a fraction of the Thunderchild's interior space. The ship carries scientists, diplomats, artists, and families. Over 12,000 souls committed to exploration and discovery. We are prepared for conflict, Commander Vex, but we do not seek it." As they returned to the shuttle bay, Thala found herself reevaluating everything she thought she knew about interstellar relations. The Alliance had always operated on the assumption that technological development followed a relatively predictable path, that civilizations of roughly similar advancement would encounter one another, trading knowledge incrementally. Instead, they had met a species so far beyond their understanding that the gap seemed insurmountable. And yet, these humans spoke of partnership, of mutual learning and exchange. "We'll await your council's response," Admiral Reyes said as they reached the shuttle. "Take whatever time you need. We've prepared data packages on the subspace fracture issue and several other technological areas where we believe immediate assistance would be beneficial. Your science officer may find them illuminating." Krell accepted the crystal data storage device with trembling hands, looking as though he'd been given a religious artifact. As Thala prepared to board the shuttle, she turned back to the Admiral. "You said you've encountered other species before. How did those relationships develop?" "Varied," Rise answered honestly. "Some became full members of the Confederation. Others preferred limited exchange while maintaining independence. A few rejected contact entirely. Each civilization chooses its own path." "And what path do you foresee for the Alliance?" Reyes smiled. "That, Commander Vex, is entirely up to you. But I will say this. Your people have shown remarkable adaptability and ingenuity. Where some see only overwhelming power disparity, I see potential for an extraordinary partnership." The return journey to the celestial Voyager was silent, each member of the delegation lost in their own thoughts. Thala watched through the viewport as the human fleet maintained its respectful distance, awesome in its power yet restrained in its presentation. Upon returning to her ship, Thala immediately called her senior staff to the command center. The data crystal from the humans had already been analyzed, containing exactly what Reyes had promised: detailed explanations of the subspace fracture phenomenon, along with specific modifications to prevent catastrophic failure. "The information is accurate," Krell confirmed, his voice filled with wonder. "Their understanding of quantum mechanics makes our best theories look like child's play. And Commander, the solutions they've provided, they're elegant, implementable with our current technology, but guided by principles we hadn't even considered. Your assessment? Thula asked her gathered officers. They could have conquered us without effort, Morrow stated bluntly. Instead, they're offering knowledge that will save lives and advance our civilization by decades, possibly centuries. Either they are genuinely benevolent, or their motivations are too complex for us to discern. Communications Officer Zen, who had remained aboard during the diplomatic mission, spoke up. The Council has acknowledged receipt of our initial report. They're in emergency session. Half the counselors don't believe the data. The other half are in panic. Understandable. Thula nodded. Everything we thought we knew about our place in the galaxy has just been upended. She turned to the view screen, where the human fleet hung against the backdrop of stars. Beautiful, terrifying, and enigmatic. Open a channel to Admiral Reyes, she decided. When the human's face appeared on the screen, Thula spoke with renewed confidence. Admiral, on behalf of the Celestial Voyager, I extend our gratitude for your assistance and hospitality. While the Alliance Council deliberates, I propose we begin implementing the subspace stabilization protocols you've provided. Additionally, she paused, knowing she was exceeding her authority, but convinced of the rightness of her decision. I would like to accept your offer of knowledge exchange. My crew stands ready to learn, and perhaps in some small way, to teach as well. Admiral Rice's face broke into a genuine smile. Commander Vex, I believe this marks the beginning of a remarkable journey for both our peoples. The stars have much to show us, and I think we'll all benefit from exploring them together. As the transmission ended, Thula looked around at her crew, seeing a mixture of fear, wonder, and most importantly, hope reflected in their expressions. The galaxy had suddenly become both infinitely larger and more daunting, yet also more wondrous than they had ever imagined. The age of isolation was over. Whatever came next, partnership, mentorship, or simply peaceful coexistence, the Alliance would never be the same. They had glimpsed the future, and it was beyond anything they could have dreamed. And it had all begun with the appearance of humanity's warships, vessels of peace wrapped in the trappings of power, harbingers not of destruction but of possibility. The stars awaited them all,